Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Hello.
It's a balmy day in the Bay.
It is, and I'm kind of glad because it got hot this week and I wasn't feeling it. And I know a lot of people love warm weather. I like medium cool.
Yes.
That's what I like.
That's
Medium,
why I love the Bay. I love a nice 70.
yeah, 70, cool breeze.
Mm.
And then when the sun goes down, I can put on my jacket and look cool. That's what I like.
Right. I like to wear my jean jacket, which I love to call my Oakland parka. That's what I love.
So yeah, but this was a Wednesday, Thursday, crazy.
It was hot.
It
I
was
didn't
hot.
like it.
And
But
so
I did leave the house, and you know how I feel about leaving the house. So that was a big step for me.
but Sunday shift fans, I finally got my tickets to see the Vanna in Sacramento. So finally you guys might get to see me in person.
I cannot wait. It's gonna be so much fun. I
Yay.
did Atlanta live last year in the foliage of where were we at? Connecticut, which was nice, but and I met very lovely people, but whew, that was a trek. So if Linda keeps doing events in Sacramento, I'm gonna hop on the train and go.
That's
So
awesome. So I'm excited to do that with you guys. Yay.
well, we have a huge show because we're gonna talk Emmys, we're gonna talk sweeps, and we're gonna do our normal show conversation. So I guess how was
Let's
your
get it
week?
on. Sorry.
That's interesting.
I always got a song. My week was okay. At work, it was all right. It was a lot going on, but my weekend, I rode my bike
I
again.
saw on your Instagram.
Yes, through East Oakland, through MLK Shoreline, and it made me all excited about the summer because I saw a whole bunch of picnic tables, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta take my friends. We're gonna do some picnic. It's great. And then I just got like riding my bike, and then I went home and I started Star Trek Deep Space Nine. So all of my Trekkie fans are so excited because they feel like I'm not a true Trekkie fan because I haven't started watching Deep Space Nine, and I thought that some other captain was the best captain ever, but now I'm learning about Captain Cisco, and so now I'm fully in it. So yeah, I'm in the middle of season one, and the first seasons are always corny. So I'm having fun looking, watching these actors trying to find themselves in their characters, and seeing the little quirks that are just like, get rid of that, but are funny because it happened in the 90s, so all that kind of stuff.
Well, I don't do Star Trek, but I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
May 4th is coming up. I'm going to be wearing my I feel like I'm going to have an outfit change. I'm going to do my Grogu onesie in the morning as I hang around the house, and then I actually have to leave the house. And I'm really debating whether or not I'm going to wear my dress. So I'll let y'all know.
Oh, and so two things for Star Wars fans. Return of the Jedi is in theaters for the first time in however many years it's been on. And on May the 4th, Star Wars Visions, the cartoons, the kind of Japanese anime cartoons, season 2 debuts on May the 4th.
Damn, we out here. Um, so that's how we've been.
You're
Uh,
right.
are you ready to talk about all the things that went on this week with the show?
Yes. Yeah, you guys are going to be surprised about who I pick for performance.
Oh, I'm really excited for this. Shockingly, because I've never been a Millow fan, I really enjoyed this week.
Oh my god, there you go.
Oh no. It actually makes me a little sad at the way the story was told, because it
Mhm.
could have been so much more powerful if it would have been told differently. Anyway, let's not even get into it. That's a editorial for later on.
Okay.
Okay. We start the week with Tracey heading back to Port Charles. We find out that Tracey spent the last 14 months trying to figure out that Luke had been murdered. And then we also find out that Ethan Malfoy, which is what I'm calling Blonde Luke, or Blonde Ethan, is headed to Australia. Um, Valentine keeps getting calls from Ned about ELQ before he heads to Greenland with Drew, Laura, and Curtis to save the hostages and take down Victor. Anna, our queen, basically holds court at the hospital with a steady stream of visitors from Portia to Alexis to Holly to Andre's cute self and Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
They put together that Victor has a pathogen that is a weapon of mass destruction. I didn't like it. It felt a little too COVID to me. They also realize that if they tell the WSB, the agency will blow up the island without any care for Spencer, Trina, Liesel, or baby Ace.
Oh.
Holly is a busy bee this week because she also goes to see Robert and interrupts a private moment between him and Diane. Diane realizes that she has been used for Robert and Holly's scheme, and she is not having it. As I said earlier, Tracey's back in town, and we know that Tracey's, plural, make everything better. We find out she helped Chase get his badge at BLQ's request, like get his badge back, and she finds out about Willow's cancer. After reading her family as only Tracey could, she tells Michael that she will do anything he and Willow need. I've actually always enjoyed Tracey's little soft spot for Michael. The Millow wedding is underway. There's some awkward moments with family pictures and some very cute flower girls.
Mm-hmm.
Sam officiates and Dante tells dad jokes, which I really enjoyed. Molly is clearly struggling with her likely endometriosis diagnosis, and Christina is standing by her daddy. After the I do's, the SEC comes looking for Carly and Drew. Pause. I've been doing stuff for work for the FTC, so I keep calling it the FTC. And I'm like, Alphabet Boys, I can't handle it. It's too much. Anyway, what we know that most of the people on the show don't know is that Nina called the SEC and what she thought was Ava's advice. Ava made sure to be like, girl, that was not my advice. I was playing devil's advocate, and this might blow up in your face. Sunny and Brick make it seem that Drew is on his way to Hawaii instead of a mission with Laura and company, and there seems to be some softening towards each other in the Corinthos family, especially since Michael thinks Ned is who called the tip. What a mess, and I love it. Anyway, Pikeman is happening, and Dex has set up his magic 8-ball camera to catch it all. And we end the week with Scotty, of all people, Scotty, overhearing that Victor has a biological weapon from a conversation between Anna and Portia. Girl, y'all gotta close them doors. Anyway, so that was the week. What was your favorite moment? What stood out?
Ooh, I had lots of moments, but my top, I guess, would be, Tracey's re-entry into the Quartermain house, where she just waltzed right in and everybody was like shocked. And then she just went in. Well, she didn't go in. She basically talked about how she was the one trying to find out what's going on with Luke's killer, and everybody else was just doing something not important and entertaining the enemy, which is Carly in the Quartermain house. But I love how she just walks in and just like, criticizes Monica for planting daffodils or whatever in the driveway. Just the disapproval of everything that's going on in the house while she's gone. And, her comedy is just amazing, lovely, and light. I love her like criticizing Olivia's catering of the wedding, not being in on the secret between Michael and Willow, and criticizing how everyone's responding to that. Her boredom in the wedding, all up on her phone. It was all of it. It was Chef's kiss, and yeah.
Jane Elliott is such a treasure. My God. It's like when she walked in to the Quartermain house, I said, this is GH. You know what I mean? Like I missed that. And I also it reminded me how much like how I watch soaps, which is like even if somebody comes for my fave, like I can enjoy it. So when Tracey was coming for Carly, I was like, well, girl, when she called Carly AJ's worst mistake, I cackled.
At the same time, they clapped back and started talking about how many weddings she's been in, and that was hilarious too.
Right.
Like, who
It's
are you to talk about with your how many weddings, 6 or 7? That
mhm,
was funny.
yeah. True Quartermain.
Mm.
My favorite moment, I mean, I think that for sure. But
Yeah.
my favorite moment was the Sam and Michael moment. I really loved that moment. I mean, obviously, everyone knows I love Sam.
Yeah.
Sam came through in that pink dress. I said, okay, Samantha. Um, and it was just a reminder, it was such a throwback to history of how much those two characters have been through together. Just like hearing them say "I love you" to each other, because these are two people that we don't often see together, but we have to remember that they've been through so much. Like, kind of one of this Michael, like Michael as Chad, as Michael's like signature stories was being in prison and coming out and dealing with all of that. And Sam was the person that was with him through that.
Mhm.
Um, so I just really appreciated them having that moment and reminding us of the long history between those characters.
I
Of
agree.
course, as an OG J Sammer, the Jason mission like really warmed my heart.
Oh, well, I didn't need the Jason mention, but I agree. That actually that moment also was a great moment for me. It kind of started my waterworks in the whole wedding scene. That was the scene that set it up for me. So, yeah, I agree. It was great as far as,
Yeah.
favorite performances if we want to squeak into that.
Yeah.
Um, I have to give it up. I Jane Elliott as the single performance, yes, she would be my top. But the whole thing for me was my favorite. All the ensemble who was part of the wedding it's one of the best weddings I've actually seen in a while for me. I mean, there was the montage with the ladies giving the something blue, something old, something new thing, and Willow ending up saying that she feels like a Spencer. I was like, oh. And then Michael throughout the whole thing when Willow walked down the aisle, he looked like he was in love with her. Like he seriously looked like he was in love during that wedding. I loved it. The tension between Michael and Sunny, loved that. It almost feels like it felt like he kept looking at Sunny almost resentful, but yet feeling guilty for not being able to have him really fully enjoy the moment. Either of them, I felt that tension. Tracey's comedy brought in, all the good feelings. Sante with her speech with Michael and just being like really one of the best wedding officiates I've seen. The little girls flowing flowers at people instead of the floor. I loved it. The beginning of Ned's song, that's the only criticism because we only saw the beginning. We only saw him playing the guitar, but it was like so sweet and I wanted to hear the rest of it. But it was great, that little snippet. I wanted to hear the rest of it though. So boo to the editors for not letting us hear it. Um, I know that Millow on a normal day is a snooze fest for a lot of people, but for me, this wedding was gorgeous and they did a really good job. And even like you had mentioned in the recap, Carly and Sunny shared a moment. So all of it pulled together for me was the highlight of the week. And so I have to give a shout out to the ensemble who acted in all of those scenes. It was great. Um, I loved it.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was just like all of the pieces that came together were so beautiful. To your point about like the like Spencer girls to You could really feel both the, like, happiness and sadness of the day, and I
Mhm.
thought they just did so well with that because that's really hard to play.
Yeah.
I loved the humor. I mean, Dante cracked me up the whole time. He
Yes.
was such a dad. He was like, "I'm the best man."
Yes, the jokes. And he was fine.
Oh, he looked amazing. And then, like, when Brooklyn said something about Sunny looking nice, Dante, like, did a full, like, spin. I was like, "What
Like,
about me?"
girl. I was like, "Yes, Dante, you look great."
Yeah, like, just, like, the moment, like, he, like, kinda smiled with Sam, like, they just the 2 of them, like, I feel like Sante never has a story. We complain about that all the time, and I still have complaints about that.
Yeah.
And anytime they show up, they just elevate the scene. You
Mhm.
know, like, they're so funny, they're so romantic, they're so good together, and Dante just cracked me up, like, with the drink and the this, like, even when he was talking to Jocelyn afterwards, he was like, "Oh, you mad because it was sunny?" Like, it was just, like, I appreciate that
Mhm.
Jocelyn and Dante have never lost that brother-sister kind of relationship. Um I just overall thought it was really good and thought it was a representation of what we should see more of kind of
Mhm.
all the time, which is like the family connection and like how people feel about things and like the actual emotions and not just the actions. It's something we should see all the time and not just sweeps or a wedding.
Yeah. Would love to be able to see that. Imagine how much it costs though to have all of them in the same room.
Yeah.
But it was great, and so it
But
was
I
worth
mean,
the money.
like, sometimes I feel like GH just goes from action to action to action, which is part of what's not working for me, so I'll go more, but I like, there's so little, like, focus on the emotions,
Mhm.
and so this was, like, so much focus on the emotions, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Um, so I that was actually what worked for me the week was Sante and their relationship. They are always focused, they are always in it, no matter what situation that they're in. And so constantly still enjoying that them as a couple. And thank you to those actors for really pulling it off and Dominic for just being fine and every time.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't even have to have a big part to make the scene better. Just love
Mhm.
it. Both of them, Sam, um, Kelly Monaco, and Dominic.
Yeah.
They're
They're
awesome.
they're really good.
Yeah.
What worked for me was Ava and Nina. I loved it. I loved it from start to finish. I thought it was hilarious. Like, Cynthia Watros and the way she played the scene had me like, because a lot of times I'm so mad at Nina, but this time I was, like, cracking up because she was in it. She was, like, so excited, like, "Yeah, I did it. I called the SCC," and then real she realized that she made a mistake, she was like, "Damn," and you could kinda track the, like, emotions of how she felt. I mean, we praised her last week, and I want to praise Cynthia again because, I mean, obviously, we are not the kind of people who have those things against actors. So I don't like Nina, but I don't have a problem with Cynthia. And I think, like, just the way she played it was so funny to me.
Mhm.
And ultimately, I think part of my problem with Nina and with Sona is that the story just wasn't told well. 'Cause, like, for a lot of times, like, they could just be a couple that I didn't care to see or that I whatever, but I actively disliked them because I hated the way the story was told. And sometimes I really think 'cause I try to, like, step back and look at how other people might look at things. And sometimes I feel like people buy into the way they talk about Nina more so than, like, who Nina is. So, like, calling the SEC on Carly is, like, completely within Nina's character. This ain't even the first time that Nina has called the feds on Carly. Like, she called the feds on Carly after Nell's death.
Oh, that's right.
Like, this is what that girl do. She love to call the feds.
And then gets offended when people call him on
Yeah.
her.
But it was like I think about Follow Me. This could be a reach. But
Mhm.
I think about like I'm a fan of Twilight, right? Oh, like but I'm also a fan of Bella and Jacob, who was never the person that she was going to end up with. Because
Mhm.
it was clear the author was like going with like her and the vampire. Like that was the point of the story. It's the vampire novel. Um, and a lot of times I will read fan fiction, or back in the day, I would read fan fiction that was like about her picking the other one. And so it will be different characterizations or whatever. And like some of those authors were really good. And I would sometimes like blend it with canon.
Mhm.
And I sometimes think that's what happens with Nina, where like people are like talking about this character in a way that is not who she is. Like, I would prefer if she was big and bad. Like when she was like kind of vengeful and was like, I did that. I was like, if that would have been Nina's collective energy, I actually would like her more as a character.
Mm.
That's
I
not. I don't like the back and forth.
Yeah. I was reading a comment on GH Facebook page, not
Mhm.
on the Facebook page, but I think it was like We Love GH fan page. Someone was saying that the way that Nina behaves is because she almost has a stunted development since she was in a coma for a majority of her life. She hasn't
Yeah.
really matured as an adult, and so she makes these rash decisions. And I kind of agree with that.
Mm.
Um, she doesn't really think things through. But I was also one of those people when watching those scenes with Ava previously talking, giving the suggestion that she should call the SEC. I was under the impression that Ava did sound like it was a good idea to her. And so when Ava was like, "No, I was just playing devil's advocate." I was like, "Oh, okay, cuz I didn't get that and apparently Nina didn't either."
I
So,
got that. I got that. I got her being like chaotic and silly about it. That's really interesting.
yeah, I thought that Ava thought it was a good idea to call it, and you should call the SEC. I know she was definitely being chaotic, but I didn't feel like she was playing devil's advocate. I felt like she was actually egging Nina on. And so um
Yeah. There's something else for me that I keep coming back to, which is like the conversation that Carly and Ava had, which when like
yeah,
Carly was like, how could you possibly be friends with her?
right.
And like Ava was like, I haven't forgotten. And so
Yeah.
part of me wonders if when Ava sees Nina be like go from up to down to like whatever, because like a lot of her behavior has been really erratic, and I personally think, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I do feel like we're heading towards like some sort of breakdown with her.
Mhm.
And so I wonder if like, Ava said like I can be in relationship with her because she got help and she did these things. And so I wonder if she starts seeing her like displaying kind of chaotic behavior, will Ava take a step back to be like, oh, I don't trust you around my daughter or whatever, because the last time you were doing this, like you were, last time you were at your breaking point or whatever is when you took my kid. So I
Mhm.
do wonder that. But I do think that we're like heading towards like Ava or not Ava, but Nina having a breakdown. I for me, I just really wish that she would have had a proper redemption arc.
Mhm.
Um, and part of that is because I think that they just didn't know what to do with like her, with Sunny, with all of that. Because if you play Nina just like straight up vengeful, then like she can't be in this like romantic relationship with Sunny in the way they were trying to sell it. Um, so yeah, I sometimes just like wonder if that was like something or something they've changed or something they're doing. Because I remember when people have done stuff like this before, like Elizabeth did this with Drew Jason, like she was ostracized.
Right.
Like people, and so I actually think it would have been more interesting to have seen Nina kind of ostracized and then Sunny being like, I actually do care about her, and then them building from there.
Mhm.
Um, I think that would have been more powerful than like for me than what we've seen now. I just like a story arc, and I feel like they just really haven't done a story arc for her.
Mhm.
Especially when I think about the story arc they did for Ava after Morgan was killed, and like, that whole thing. Anyway,
Yeah, I agree. And then we had talked about this previously that we all felt that Nina wasn't properly punished for what she did. Like she got dressed down by Carly, she got dressed down by Joss, but and Michael obviously, but everybody else, well, and Olivia, but everybody else was just like, oh, okay, so Sunny's back, yay. That's it. I mean, they didn't really go into, the role that Nina played in that and how, she basically kept him away from his family for a long time. And so I guess we're still, kind of seeing, that come into play where and again, I don't like what people are saying, like Nina continues to suffer. Nina has not really suffered for her actions, and they always say that Carly never suffers, and that's not true. And so it's a weird dynamic, and Nina keeps saying those talking points, but Nina hasn't been in, Port Charles as long to be able to actually see the history of Carly and everything that she has suffered throughout her life. She just throws it off her back in a different way than Nina does because she's been through it. And so she's kind of like, okay, I'm a survivor now. I can deal with these things. I'm not going to, bend over and double over and die. Whereas that's what Nina wants. And so, it's not going to happen. And unfortunately, Nina is acting all crazy and it's going to have reverberations. She's going to lose a lot with this action once people find out.
I know. Yeah, I mean, I think that part of it is, and I've said this before, but I think that part of it is that people feel like consequences have to be like you. I mean, it's two separate things, right? So there are some people who will just never like Carly, and that's fair. Nobody has to like any character at all ever. But so there are people who just want her like in a paper bag or a paper box, like out of town, like, and that's one set of people. And I think there are people who truly like feel like what suffering looks like is like broke down, crying, not knowing how to handle it. And
Mhm.
so when she lost the Metro court, she like walked out with her head held high. So that didn't feel, I think, for people like suffering because she wasn't broken down about it and she wasn't destitute about it. Or like, she still had money.
Mhm.
When she lost Sonny, like for me, that's like you lost your husband, but people were like, well, she
She
loved
wanted
Jason,
she
or
wanted the divorce.
she wanted a divorce. Like, and so because of that, like these things are not seen as losses for her. Um, and so I do think that there's a little bit of that they have like made Carly like such a kind of stand-up character, like not stand-up, that's not the word I meant, but like such a like I'm not gonna be like broken down character. And I think that there are audiences who really want to see women face that kind of thing
Mhm.
in order to feel like they've paid. Whereas to what we've seen of Nina is that she has broken down, she has cried. Now, granted, that is of her own making, in my opinion. Even like the idea that she can't see Wiley, for me, that's not really even a consequence because I sometimes wonder had she not taken them to court had and like dragged Michael through the mud had would they have softened to her. So so much of the consequences that she's had have been to like her through her own making as
Mhm.
opposed to like you do what she did where she like let people think that Sonny was dead and then also like sent Peter off and to like kidnap Bailey. Anna wasn't mean to her, didn't shade her. Valentine wasn't mean to her. I mean, Maxie, for whatever reason, went and told Carly what happened, but Maxie never like abandoned her. Like a lot of the people who should have been really mad at her never were. And
Mhm.
for me, that would have been consequences where those people would have been, like standoffish towards her. And then she would have had to earn her way back. So anyway, what's not working for you?
Well, what worked really well, I should have said what also worked for me was not seeing Cody.
I was thinking
So
about you when I didn't see
I was
Cody. I was like,
really, I was really grateful for that. Like he wasn't at the wedding. He wasn't trying to be in the mix. Sasha was there. Chase was there. Dante was there, but he was not. So thank you, GH, for that. What's what is not working? I Ethan Malfoy. Okay, you said that. It was hilarious. I was upset because he was on for like 5 minutes. I was just like, and they made such a big deal about the fact that it wasn't the other actor.
the persons, yeah.
So I was just like, oh, okay, so we got this new character. You know how we were last week excited about the possibility of him, maybe being with Christina, maybe doing this, maybe doing that. And then he's like, no, I'm going back to Australia. I mean, what was the whole point? And they made such a big deal about him coming back. She's gonna find Ethan. The world is gonna be saved once Ethan was found. Like he was just gonna be like the new fresh blood, the way I was feeling it. And he's just bounced. So I'm like, yeah, that's not that wasn't nice. I also yeah, Curtis and his attitude. He was just like giving Valentine attitude and bad looks, and I was just like, that salty face. I was like, dude, do you not know that no one wants you there? You're giving attitude. At least the audience. I don't care if he's there. So yeah.
How Laura was like when Valentine said he was coming, she's like, thank God.
Yes. Because she was like, I don't know about these two, but I know you at least are about to help me do something here.
So you cannot leave me with Curtis and Drew on my own. You got to come.
Right. So the fact that Curtis was giving attitude the whole weekend to be like, this is what we're not gonna do. I'm like,
okay,
these
Curtis.
are professionals and you're telling them what they're not gonna do. You're the only one who doesn't know what he's doing. So, oh yeah, I forgot he was some sort of cop way back in the day. Oh, an investigator, I guess. I don't know.
Whatever. Michael's revenge plot is not working for me. I think it would have been fine for Michael to like have beef with Sonny and not want to be around him, but this idea that he kept the name Corinthos is like going after Sonny this way with Dex, like it just is silly. It's really silly. It's been silly. I've never defended that part of it. Like I said, I'm all here for Michael to have like just salty energy at Sonny. I actually thought some of that was very funny, like Michael like refusing to smile in the picture.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Like,
Just like
I was like, Chad is really playing this up. He's loving this. But like, so I didn't mind. I don't mind that. But this whole idea, it was like for me having Christina and Dante and Avery and Donna in one room and seeing like, I just I didn't I'm like, this is, please make this go away. I don't like it. The other thing I don't like is the way it's so disconnected. Like, no way Joss is not more concerned about Trina. Like,
yeah.
and so sometimes they do stuff like that, and then it seems like to reflect back on the kind of friends or family members or whatever people are, when it's really just like a disconnect in like the way the story is being told or like the way it's being directed. There's just no way, like that's her bestie. There's no way she wouldn't be more concerned with like where Trina is. And to be honest, no matter how mad she is at Spencer, she still cares about him. So she would be concerned about him as well. So I would have liked for there to be some part where she was like, oh yeah, I'm putting on this happy face for Willow and Michael, but like I'm really concerned about Trina, because that also not only is good for Jocelyn's character, but also like brings the audience back to how serious that this is. If only certain sections of the show are acting like this is really serious outside of Liesel's bone marrow, then like it kind of takes away from the actual danger. Especially when we don't see them all week. Like we only saw them like twice or whatever. So yeah, I just didn't I think they need to do a better job of connecting. It's just like with this whole situation with Ned and Valentine. If y'all thought Valentine was dead, then Ned, who is the chairman of the board, should have had the board appoint him to be CEO. Like this shouldn't even be like some drama. So it just feels
Right.
like really lazy, and like disconnected and disjointed. So I didn't care for that either.
Agreed. I had Ned as something else that I didn't like, just him. I want him to be the musician who played the guitar.
Right. Shout out to my girl BLQ though, because she didn't check her daddy in front of everybody else. She was like, okay, this is family business, but this is family business.
Right.
So yeah, I'm gonna get you out of this room, Michael and Willow, and then I'm gonna check you in the foyer.
Oh, shout out to Brooklyn on how she handled all her family. The way she like be like getting Tracey out of the room. She's like, "Okay, come on, grandma. Let's go."
She's like, Granny, I mean Tracey.
Granny, I mean Tracey, let's go. And just be dragging her from room to room. And like, Tracey was mad that her room was given away. She was like, "You can just stay with me. Come on, let's go." just like handling Tracey that whole week, that whole day.
I loved it.
Yeah, it
I
was
loved
great.
it.
And the only one that could do it too, apparently.
Only one.
Yeah.
So I only have two hot takes, because then we'll go into the rest of them will go into when we talk about
Yeah.
the sweeps. Do you have any hot takes?
I did. I have one. I was just like felt really bad for Diane. I was like, I'd be pissed too, especially the way that Robert, when Holly walked into the office, just totally blew her off.
Ooh,
Like they were about to kiss, and he physically almost pushed her to the side, was like, "Oh, Holly," and then hug, 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 and then totally ignoring the fact that Diane was in the room when he was talking to Holly, and then once Diane realized that she was the dupe in the whole thing, he was just like totally unconcerned about how she felt about it, and I was just like, poor Tracey. So it was just very disrespectful, and so I don't know. It made me not like Robert even more than I didn't
Oh,
before.
poor Diane. I was like, poor
Yeah.
Tracy. Poor Diane.
Oh
Gotcha.
yeah, for Diane. Yeah. I was just like, I didn't like it. So
I was like, this man is getting fought over. I can't. I can't even talk about it. Uh, Something that bothered me was that Anna had on that blood pressure cuff. I was like, why you go, like through the whole scene. I'm like, take that off her. Y'all not taking her blood pressure. You know what I mean? Like she had like the finger thing on and the blood pressure cuff. Get my girl out this bed. What are you
right.
doing? Um, and Jordan and Andre. I'd like to see it.
Mm, yeah, that would be interesting.
They've already like go ahead and double back on
Get
that. They've
together.
already been
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
He is very handsome and she is very beautiful.
Mhm.
Uh, the actor had posted something because he said like this was a short stint or whatever on his Instagram, and so
Mhm.
I commented. I was like, "Oh no, we wanted to see you and Jordan," and he like liked it. He didn't say anything. He liked it, and a couple other people were like, "You and Jordan, you and Jordan." So
Oh,
I'm just trying to put that in the air. Um, would love to see it. Jordan is too beautiful in her like fashionable police outfits. Jordan
yes.
was like, I'm about to wear this fluffy blouse and a fashion blazer to work.
Her blazers and her trench coats, I be wanting them all the time. I had another one. So when they were back on the island and they opened up the big freezer, why did I think that Helena's body was in there?
You were like the Peter freezer, the Peter.
I was like, Helena's gonna come out of there. It's gonna be great. It was just because I really felt it because when they opened the freezer, Liesel and Spencer and Trina were all like covering their noses like something smelled bad that was in there. And I was like, oh, there's a body in there. I was super excited. I really want Helena to come back. I was trying to put it in there, but I guess no. It was
The
only
petty, the like very nitpicky person in me was like, did they have Spencer walk through the ice on them with them white shoes?
no. And then I was looking at the shoes like, oh, I want those. Like I love those shoes. But yes, they were definitely underdressed for Arctic, whatever, Iceland, Greenland, wherever they were.
I was like, okay, Spencer, you crispy.
I know those are some tight shoes. I was like, I want those. I know what those are. Adidas, white with red. Yep, I want them.
And I was like, me, just like the very small things that don't matter. I was like, who wrapped Trina hair up? Did they get my girl a satin pillowcase? Like, what's she doing over there? Like,
Right? Did she sleep with her head wrap? I want to see that when they
yeah,
have
I would
the
love to see it.
yeah, I want to see her walking around with her head wrap because right now her hair is always looking good, so I need to see her.
Always, always.
Her and Jordan.
Jordan, stay. Look, I'm like, when did you have time to get your hair curled up like this, Jordan? Like, the whole planet is like, the whole planet is like at stake, and Jordan's like, but I'm gonna be fine. Okay.
Right, I'm gonna look good no matter what.
If it's my last day, what I'm supposed to go out looking ugly?
Last day on this earth, and we'll go out looking great,
And
and
she
we go walk through the pearly gates looking fine.
will. I will also say before we hop to the Daytime Emmys, so make sure to check out. So Tabyana Ali did an interview on the Soap Opera Digest podcast. And there are a lot of gems that she captured, but she dropped, but she really for me captured why we do Trina Tuesday, which was like she's just so positive. Um, she was talking about Sydney, who we obviously love. We loved Sydney. We loved her take on Trina. We did like a lot of stuff when she like, like the goodbye video and things like that when she left. And then Tabyana just slid in and it was beautiful. And the transition was very beautiful. And I think it's because she's so gracious. And so one of the things that she said was that that Sydney created something great and they went up against each other for the role in the first place. And she was like, yeah, I just wished her luck and I wish her luck now. And so it was just like a very beautiful expression of like sisterhood for people who don't really know each other, but like have really brought this character to life. Um, and really like lean into just how positive and sweet of a person she is. I really love her kind of like small voice, but her fierceness, especially as Trina. And I wanted to like just touch on like there's a lot of conversation that goes out about like trolls and like people who come at her. And I just want to like, I don't know, like reframe. I'm not coming at anybody. People can do what they want to, but I do want to reframe the conversation. And like I've always said about like why we do Trina Tuesday is we want to come from a place of strength for her. Like this girl is beloved across the fandom. Everybody, like no matter what she does, when she shows up dressed or when she shows like everybody is like, oh, this is like the girl. Like she is that girl. Tabyana is that girl, Trina is that girl. And so I want to talk about that. I want to like give like praise to that. And everybody doesn't want to like constantly be bought everybody doesn't always want to constantly be named a victim. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody doesn't want everybody to like it is nice to have people take up for you. And if like big accounts on like soap Twitter or like Facebook were coming at her, or if she wasn't getting on like magazine covers, like she's been on, there was like 1 week she was on People and Soap Opera Digest and another magazine. Like the show has made sure to say that this is the like she is the future, that Trina is the future, that Sabrina is the future. They are one of the few signature couples of the show. Everybody else is kind of like there are other couples that people like and who are getting story or whatever, but like when you think about the signature couples of the show right now, who the show is pushing, it's Sabrina. And so if that was to stop, I think that is when we have to be like we have to be vigilant that those kind of things don't stop. But when you uplift trolls, like there's another troll comes in their place, especially if it like becomes like a bigger actor. So like I think people have been like, well, why doesn't Eden say something about Tabyana's trolls? And I think that like when her and Tabyana like post love fest for each other and like pictures with each other, them hanging out and how much they admire each other, that is the response to like an account that was started yesterday with 5 followers. You know what I'm saying? Because like why quote tweet every one of those that pops up? Because then like if if like the other actresses give it attention, then it'll just keep happening. I've actually seen Laura Wright pop into comments uh, about Tatiana. It was like some troll on Instagram had said something about her, like not liking her, and Laura was like, "Well, too bad. We love her, and she's going to be here, and she's our trainer." Like that's important. Of course, you want that to happen, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't bring it up, but I do want to like just continue to lean into the positivity with her. She's a cover girl. She's gorgeous. She is all of like the best things, and I want to like talk about that and not about like some miserable ass person who's sitting at their house like trying to like pull down a black girl. That person doesn't deserve attention. And so that is just like where I stand. It's one of the reasons that if anybody wonders why we don't like comment on the trolls from our Twitter, I mean we're barely on Twitter, but that we don't comment is because like Tabiana like is such like has so much strength, exudes so much strength, and is so wonderful. We just want to like talk about how wonderful she is and not give attention to the people who want to detract from that. So I just wanted to add
Okay.
that. Yeah, sure.
That's fine with me. Yeah, I
All
mean,
right.
he deserves it. I mean, yeah. So that's the thing about this weird thing about social media nowadays. It's like trolls are out there 100%, and that negativity can be really depressing and sad. So I hope that we do continue to do that, to lead with positivity and you know, support these actresses because they have it hard enough without having to deal with, you know, somebody that's been on Twitter 5 minutes. So
Exactly. Um, and like I said, if it was like a big account or somebody who, you know, was like actually driving conversation, or driving like the way stories are received, I think that's really different, and that's when you check. But
yeah,
you can like mention that like troll accounts, but like uplifting them, highlighting them, making them the central part of something, I don't think it's necessary personally for me.
right.
Um, cool. Ready to talk about daytime Emmys?
Yes.
Oh. Nominations came out last week. GH leads the pack with 19.
Yes, that was great.
That was exciting.
Congratulations.
In context, Bold and the Beautiful has 14 noms, Y&R has 13, and Days has 11. You watch Bold and Y&R, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I watch Days. So we have a little conversation about these nominations.
Yeah.
First up, leading actress. I mean, Fanola Hughes from General Hospital. I know that's right. And then The Young and the Restless dominated. You got Sharon
Mm,
Case, Michelle Stafford, and Melissa Claire Egan. And then on Bold, you have is it Jacqueline
yeah.
Man? How do you say it?
I can't
Jacqueline Woods.
Jacqueline Wood. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm sorry to mess up her name because like this is a huge honor. So I don't know her. I'm so sorry, but I know that this is a coveted category. I
Mhm.
know that actresses in daytime work their asses off, and to be a lead is like, I mean, all of these women are very talented. Uh,
Yes.
I don't watch the other shows. I do know a little bit of Melissa Claire Egan storyline, simply because I saw that it had like a disclaimer in front of it. So I remember her from All My Children. So she comes to work. That's what I know. But obviously I'm rocking with Fanola Hughes. Been rocking with Fanola Hughes since 2001. She's the
I
best.
just like really curious about what scenes that people submit. I do know what the storyline, what the major dramatic storylines were for, I think, most of them. Well, I can guess like what scenes were submitted. But I'm really curious about some of them. So like you said, Melissa Claire Egan, her story has been about her just slow, like really slowly but surely kind of devolving into to anxiety and depression, which culminated in her almost taking her life. And so for me, I mean, was top notch because it was just throughout the whole year, and it wasn't even like you can see it happening, you can see her slowly just losing it, but it wasn't like so obvious to the point where we knew she was going to commit suicide. And actually the suicide part was actual surprise. So that's how, delicate and just really intense at the same time her performance was throughout the whole year. There could be multiple scenes that she could have submitted for that.
Yeah. I don't
And
know what she submitted, but I did watch Michael Fairman. He
okay,
did a lot of interviews with the actresses and the actors who were nominated, and so I can tell you what Finola submitted.
okay, which one did Finola?
Submitted Peter's Death.
Oh yes, that's what I was thinking. But I was thinking like, did that happen this year? Or did it happen a long? I feel like it happened a long time ago because it was such a yes, finally.
It
But
was early, so like the stuff that is nominated now is stuff that happened in 2022.
too.
And so
Okay,
Peter's Death happened early 2022, which is why it feels so long ago.
yeah, okay.
Um, and then there was a scene, I don't know if you remember, she had done with Finn, where she was talking about being alone but not lonely. I
Oh yeah,
specifically remember it because Jen M, friend of the show, had done a Spaces right after, because we were also, I think, like touched by it, just like this really beautiful work where she was like vulnerable. And then Finola hopped in the space and
great.
she talked about like what it meant. And I just remember the Spaces happening, and obviously that is like all audio. I just felt like when Finola came in the place, it just classed up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like people stood up straight. Like we're on voices, and we're still like,
Yeah,
gotta get dressed, gotta make sure I'm looking good for Finola. And so it was like really, really nice for her to like slide in and talk about like what those scenes meant to her. So I know
yeah.
she did that, and I think she said she did a couple with Valentine. There's some
Mhm.
genius.
Yeah, and those are all awesome. So yay, Sharon Case. I can guess she probably submitted some scenes having to do with the death of her husband, who she had only been married to for about a year, but they were like really really great together. Um, and she had actually a lot of people are saying on social media that she had been, looked over for years, and she has done some really incredible work. But when she gets emotional, it's just like it's really heartbreaking. She's just that good, and so I imagine that she submitted those scenes.
Mhm.
Jacqueline McInnes Wood, she also she watched her husband get shot, and then she got shot after. And so that those scenes were
Okay,
crazy.
CBS.
I mean, it was Sheila Carter. If you know anything about Sheila Carter, man, that lady has 9, 10, 11, 12 lives, be coming back out of jail and has never been convicted of a crime. And she somehow wheezes her way out of it. But she, found her son who, you know, um, Steffi, who's the character that Jacqueline plays, marries her son unbeknownst that she's Sheila Carter's son. And when they finally find each other, Sheila Carter gets obsessed and basically gets mad at Steffi for trying to keep them apart, and basically shoots her son who tries to protect her, and then shoots her. So it's very all emotional. And then he comes back. And
Oh yeah,
so
Finn, right?
yeah, it was Finn. So he
I
comes
be
back.
knowing stuff.
So all of that, it was just like it was trending for a while when he came back. So yeah, it was, there's some really great scenes that she could have submitted around those storylines.
Mm.
And then, Phyllis, the character Michelle Stafford plays on Young and the Restless. I feel like Phyllis is doing some great stuff now, but and I'm not quite sure what scenes she submitted for herself, but she's also had a very, interesting year where her nemesis has come back into the scene. And so, and her nemesis Diane has basically stole her life, stole her man, stole a job, stole her child, kind of the same way that, Nina is doing with Harley, except Diane's all innocent, like, I just, I'm just trying to get my life back. I'm not doing anything to you. Just playing all innocent and making Phyllis look like the crazy one. And so there's probably several scenes from there. from the beginning of that, that, Michelle Stafford could have submitted. Michelle Stafford is just a phenomenal actress anyway. So, a lot of these scenes were great. So all of these women definitely deserve the nomination. And it could be a toss up on who wins.
I mean, they are all wonderful. I'm obviously pulling for Finola always. Supporting actress, Sonia Eddy, amazing. Stacey Haiju from Days of Our Lives, Krista Allen from Bold, Brooke Kerr from General Hospital, and Kelly Thiebaud from General Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I
Yeah.
love to see Epiphany there. The actress who plays Portia, so Brooke, had commented on Sonia's nomination and said like she would have loved for her to still be here and for them to have gone together. Just other people have like commented on like how much she would have appreciated and loved this. So I'm happy to see her nominated. Happy to see Brooke nominated.
Mm-hmm.
Brooke has been, it's like Brooke has been on my TV and in my life since I was in high school with Passion. And to see her recognized for her work is just really special.
Mm-hmm.
Stacey from Days, beast, powerhouse, great actress. Um,
She's
yeah.
been on several shows, right? Like, and
Mhm,
she was on Young and the Restless too.
mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
she's
great.
amazing. I mean, I don't care for her character, but her as an actress,
Yeah.
powerhouse. So so toss up. I'm definitely going for Sonya or Brooke.
Mhm.
What
And
about
then I just want to mention Krista Allen, who's taken over the role of Taylor on Bold and the Beautiful, which was played by another iconic actress. And so she's coming in and taking over that role in a really wonderful way. And so definitely deserves honor in just doing that. So, and I did not know, but Krista Allen did a guest, well, not a guest, but she was on Friends. She showed up as Joey's date when Joey thought that he was in love with Rachel. He went on a Joey went on a date with somebody else, and it was Krista Allen.
I fast forward all of the Joey Rachel stuff early and late. Um, I hated it. But good for Krista.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Mhm.
Um, so anyway, would love to see either Sonya or Brooke. Happy for all the nominees always.
Mhm.
Lead
Oh, and then
actress.
Kelly too.
Oh yeah. Kelly Thiebaud. She was excited. This is her second year in a row nominated. She won last year.
Mhm.
I thought she did really great work as Brit. Um, Happy
Yeah.
for her. In the words of Issa Rae, I'm rooting for everybody black. Uh,
All right.
Lead actor in the drama series. So we got Jason Thompson from Young and the Restless, Maurice Bernard from General Hospital, Peter Bergman from Young and the Restless, Billy Flynn from Days of Our Lives, and Thorsten Kaye from The Bold and the Beautiful.
Mm. Honestly, out of all those, I almost feel like it's, Peter Bergman this year. Just because he's had a lot going on. He found out that his son had died, and then now he has a new granddaughter, and then Diane coming back and just being like, I don't agree with any of the decisions that his character is making right now, but his character has been through some stuff. So, and now dealing with Phyllis, it's his year, so I really have to give it up to him. Um, but also, Jason Thompson this year, who, used to play Dr. Patrick Drake. But now he's on as
Isn't he podcasting on that show or something? Or is that not true?
is who?
Isn't his character like a podcaster or something?
Oh, it used to be, but now he's back with the family. So
Oh,
that's the thing. Billy as a character is a hot mess. I mean, he's just doing way too much. And he's now grounding himself because he was the one that rescued um Melissa Claire Egan's character who was about to kill herself. So he's been her support and helping her, and in doing so he lost his relationship with somebody else, so he's gone through some shit.
Mm.
So yeah, Jason Thompson is amazing and definitely deserves being honored this year. um Torsten K, he's the lead actor of the show, and so you just give him a nod. I'm not quite sure what he submitted though that would get him the nod, but he's a great actor. I think it's basically Peter Bergman this year, though.
And see, here's the thing. I think you might be wrong. Billy Flynn
Oh,
was amazing.
uh-huh.
He plays
What did
Chad
he?
on Our Lives, and he
Mhm.
is one half of Chabby. Abby died, and he played through all the beats of the grief with her. And I thought it was like really
Mhm.
great. I also think that Maurice Bernard is like a name, and the
Yeah.
scene he submitted, I didn't remember that it happened, but it was the breakdown he had that Nina helped him through. So I
Okay.
think that there is something around mental health that's happening with like Melissa Claire Egan, and then with Mo. Like, so they're like something that I think that they want to uplift. Like these powerful stories around mental health. And obviously Maurice is like a advocate for those things. So I
Mhm.
think it's a toss-up category. I would personally, I mean, obviously, General Hospital, that's our show. But if not General Hospital, I would really love to see Billy Flynn win, because I think he's great.
All right. Well, we'll just have to see.
Yeah, that's a toss up.
$50. Just kidding.
Uh,
um,
Supporting actor. Oh, go ahead. No, 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 go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, go ahead. Let's move on. Supporting
Supporting actor.
actor.
We got Robert Gossett, um,
Hmm.
John Lindstrom, Dan from Days of Our Lives, Nicholas Chavez, and Chad Duell from GH. So GH kind of ran this category aside from Dan. Um,
Uh huh.
wow, what a category. Huge for
Yeah.
Nicholas to
Yeah.
go from young actor to supporting and like to get this knob. That's huge.
That's
Um,
huge. It's super huge,
like and
and
like
he great work.
yeah, and the question had been, and we'll talk about this a little bit more with younger actor, it had been like, how would like the actors fare because they've like aged out of this like other category. So when I think about the younger
Mhm.
actor category, ooh, what did I just say? The younger actor category. Actagory. I think a lot about Jonathan Jackson because essentially that
Mhm.
he ran that category for years as Lucky Spencer. Um,
Mhm.
and so yeah, I think it's just really interesting for the to like and like really exciting to see someone who kind of would have been with the rules from last year in the younger actor category, like now in the supporting to show that like yeah, they're paying attention to like actors who are younger who are putting in work. So I think that's exciting.
Mhm.
This is John Lindstrom's first nomination.
And I'm shocked at that because, oh my god, I'm really having a hard time with if it wasn't John Lindstrom, I would totally be like Nicholas Chavez, but oh my god, he's played two people. you know, you have to give it up to people who can play two different characters. Like a lot of people love David Canary, who used to play Adam Chandler and Stuart
Yeah.
Chandler on All My Children. And that's the same thing is John Lindstrom is playing basically brothers with two different personalities and doing a phenomenal job at both. And so I wish he was like if he was in the lead actor category, then that would be a serious competition.
Mm-hmm.
John Lindstrom,
Yeah.
right? I kind
I'm
of feel
hoping.
like this is Nick here, but also saying that John Lindstrom deserves something.
Yeah, I'm also
So,
hoping that whatever happens this year, he nominates. Woo, my words. He submits for next year as well because all that
yeah.
Ryan stuff at Windermere was
Mhm.
like this year.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think John Lindstrom, such a phenomenal talent, top-notch Libra man, married to a Libra woman. I love John Lindstrom. And I really do hope. I mean, it's just like it's. I mean, it's exciting. I mean, it's it's exciting for Chad to be there. It's just like very exciting to see that like GH men are being like seen as the best of the best. And I do
Mhm.
think that Dan put in really good work. I'm interested to know because Dan, I listened to his interview on Fairman, and so he said his Emmy reel was like very short. Like he
Mm.
only submitted like maybe it's like 2 scenes or something like that. He was
Wow.
dealing with his mom dying on the show. And it was like really powerful. And so I was surprised that he had actually went for supporting because he is kind of a lead for the show. But he was saying that he felt like he's kind of new and he feels like lead is more for people who have been there for longer and like more veteran actors. I also think there's some politics around it. Like they probably didn't want um, him and Billy Flynn up against each other. So yeah, I mean, I think that he deserved his nomination as well.
And then shout out to Robert Gossett. I have to admit, I hated Robert Gossett's character when he
Yeah.
first came on, but he's really, blossomed. And then now that we've figured out what the issue is, why he left, and how he's dealing with the fact that he may or may not be schizophrenic, I think he's been doing a great job. And I'm really warming to Hat Daddy. And I'm really happy for him and his nomination.
Yeah, I mean, I love his scenes. I loved his stuff with Epiphany, obviously. Love his scenes with Tabiana. Love his scenes with Taj. He is such a warmth and a warming and like a good patriarch um,
Mm-hmm.
that has really been missing. I think like that just haven't had a Black patriarch on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully we can get a little bit more of that. Loved seeing him. He was he was nominated for guest last year, nominated for supporting this year, and so congrats to those folks. And we will see. Hopefully it's a good night for GH.
Yeah. Supporting actress. Oh my god. I think it's Ali Mills to win.
Oh,
Frank.
guest performer.
Guest performer. Yeah, guest performer. What do I feel like there's
100% Allie to win. What are you saying?
it's totally Ali's.
I mean, so Kevin Spiritus from Days of Our Lives came through. He plays Craig. They had him do like an arc where he came out, left his wife, got with another dude, and then the dude turned out to be a scammer, so he like left empty-handed, essentially. Um, I didn't like the story. Um, I remember Nancy and Craig from when I was younger. I think it could have been a story to be told with him being bi. I feel like shows don't really do a good job of like exploring, especially for men, like the gambit of like LGBTQ you know what I mean? And so they essentially said that this couple that we had watched this for all these years, like he was like in pain, he didn't want to be in this couple. And I think it actually might have been more powerful if they would have said he was bi. And so like yeah, he did love his wife and like there wasn't like a no attraction to her, but he just also like had this like coming of age where he like also like fell for this man. That's
Mhm.
what I preferred to have happen. That's not what happened. But he did act really well, and he's like a very solid actor.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not trying to be mean. I don't understand why Steve Burton was nominated for Beyond Salem. He was just Jason Morgan. It wasn't, there was not depth, there was not range. Eh, I guess it's because of his name, because like he's a household name. But there's nobody like Ali Mills. Like, come on.
Right.
If she doesn't win, like it's wrong.
Yeah, Robert Newman, who was on the Young and the Restless, he did a great job. I guess he played a love interest for Victoria Newman, and his name is escaping me, which is why I'm like, I appreciate him being on the show, but why the character has already forgotten in my mind. So um, but it was great. It was great. It brought some great scenes. And the same thing with Cassandra Creech. Actually, no, it's not the same thing. Because Cassandra Creech is a great actress. She's a Black woman actress. but the character on the show was negligible because Bold and the Beautiful right now is not really writing very well for Black characters. And so she came in playing the mother of one of a character, and it was just, she was a nosy busybody, which I felt I mean, she did a great job at it, but it was like, because the story was just, so yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. But not to say, I mean, these are all phenomenal actors, but what Allie Mills did
So,
was so amazing.
yeah, it was
You know,
neglected.
I almost feel like, I almost wish it wasn't guest performer and almost lead actress because it was so amazing. But she was just a guest, so. But she needs to be on recurring. Heather needs to come back. I don't know how, but
She did. So she dropped in her interview that she was gonna be coming back.
yeah, I heard there was a spoiler of some sort that she's coming back. So,
Yeah. So she dropped that in her interview. So that's interesting and exciting.
all right,
Um,
younger performer. Let's get into
younger performer.
that.
The drama. Oh my god. I don't even want to talk about it. Okay. So Eden McCoy from GH, obviously. Henry Joseph Samari, is that how you say it?
It may be Samiri.
Mary from Bold and the Beautiful, and Carrie Christopher from Days of Our Lives. Originally, Victoria Grace from Days of Our Lives was also nominated. She plays Wendy Shin. Um, she was included in this category. And then they realized, I don't know how it happened. It's so unfortunate for that young woman, that she was not the correct age for this category, so it was withdrawn. I think that is terrible. And whoever put her into this category should have to answer for that.
Mhm.
We collectively, us, like our friend Javier, we've been talking about this category for a few years now because they've been changing the way it is. So it used to be different ages, and it would be a young man and a young woman. Then they made it a non-gendered category. And then they were steady lowering the age. So it was 25, then it was 21. That's when Nicholas won last year. And then this year it's 18. And so basically you would have to have been 18 within the last year. So Eden currently is 19. The work that she submitted was from when she was 18, or the year that she was 18. So that's how she was able to submit this year.
Mhm.
So what happened to Victoria, Grace, just heartbreaking.
Mhm.
She's a new actress. She came in through Beyond Salem. And then Ron, the writer over there, calls the regular show the Mothership. And so she becoming part of the Mothership story, has really carried a lot of story, has great chemistry with the cast, seems to be a very sweet young woman. I saw that Perry Shin, because she put out a very gracious statement about no longer being nominated. And I saw Perry Shin being you're very gracious. I was so happy to see an Asian sister nominated. I'm not gracious. That shit sucks.
Yeah.
And I think that that's right. I just can't imagine celebrating with your family for a day or two and thinking that oh my God, my first year I'm nominated, and then all of a sudden I'm not.
Right.
Ugh, heartbreaking for her.
Definitely.
Heartbreaking. So
And it's a difficult category because if you talk about the other nominees, like Henry Joseph Samiri, he is the cutest little boy, and he is always put in the situations that causes drama. Like his dad be doing some off the wall shit and then bringing him into the middle of it. Like the latest thing that Thomas did was he faked like his character, the little boy had this app on his phone that lets you pretend to be the voice of somebody else. And so Thomas, the adult man, takes this app and pretends to have his stepmother call into CPS and report him as a bad father. And so So his son is just like, Dad, I know you use this app because the app tells us what the last thing was done. And so, Dad, did you have somebody call CPS? And he's like, No, 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 I didn't do it. Okay, like, okay, I did it, but you got to keep it a secret. And so this little boy is carrying this secret, and he's like, No, I don't want to lie, Dad. What you're doing is upsetting Grandpa. And he's like, Just keep the secret. So he ends up having to tell people the truth when his own grown ass dad won't do it. And so that's
Wow.
why, like, this, so he's like done some phenomenal work
Yeah.
because he has some really, like, his parents are hecka crazy. Or like his parents made him choose between which one he wants to live with. And he couldn't make the choice. So he chose his aunt. But it was just like they be putting him through some really stuff. Like that poor little boy. I feel so bad for him. But
What?
yeah, the actor is amazing.
Yes, for Christopher, this is Days. I watch Days. So when I was talking about Chad and like Billy Flynn going through the death of his wife Abby, Carrie is their son.
Oh, wow.
Like I think that sometimes with soaps we forget how much is put on the shoulder of these kids. I was talking to Tara, who sometimes guests, and one of the things she mentioned, and it really stuck with me, was like kids are put through these things on soaps, and they learn about stuff before we would have maybe have told them before. So
Right.
like this, so Carrie is learning about death from the show essentially,
Yeah.
or this other young man that you were talking about, Henry, is like learning about conniving, like a lot of
Yeah.
people have like this view of our parents that they're perfect until we're a little bit older, and like he's getting that shattered now.
And now.
um, and like they also are like the bridge and like a lot of times the emotional bridges for these stories. So we've seen that. I was thinking about how much they used to put on like Brooklyn Sicer or Nicholas Bechtel like
Yeah.
on their shoulders. They're such talented kids. Kimberly McCullough, who won um a long time ago, like also on her shoulders, these kids are phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I obviously love Eden, have been a fan of Eden and of Joss the whole time. I'm a Carly fan, so like there's no reason for me not to be a fan of her child. You know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, like Eden has done phenomenal work.
Mhm.
I think the sex tape story, I think that what she said she submitted was some of that, like talking to Carly and Bobby, like the stuff on the trial stuff with Trina when she was on the stand. That was like excellent, excellent work.
Right.
And that doesn't negate how great the work was of these young people.
Yeah.
Because I was like, damn, I mean, look, Carrie might take it because you can't overestimate how cute and talented these kids are. And
Right.
Carrie, like, I remember watching a scene and was like crying because of this kid.
Mhm.
And so, they're so talented. And this one of the things that Eden said when she was in her interview with Michael Fairman, she said, I could lose anybody. and,
Yeah.
and I really liked that attitude about it because soap kids are so talented,
Mhm.
like and I think that's really special.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know if you want to talk about it, but
Sure, let's talk. I wanted to get all of that out before
yeah,
we talk
before
about
we go in, the drama. So,
love
uh,
of it all.
yeah, I mean, those who have been watching us for a long time know that I'm rarely on soap Twitter and commenting on what soap Twitter's doing. But over this week, when trying to look up and see who the nominations were, I got hold of the reaction that Eden had tweeted to somebody who did not tweet to her, but mentioned her name in their tweet about the Emmys. And basically, the tweet said that Eden should be embarrassed because either way, it's a bad look for her. Like she either wins and beats out a little kid, or she loses and lost to a little kid. Essentially, that's what she said. And so Eden responded like, "Oh, I should be embarrassed for being nominated. These are phenomenal actors, essentially." all of them, and she was proud to be nominated with them. And so the thing is that a lot of people were mad. Well, there's two camps. There's either people that was mad at the original person who tweeted for, you know, coming at Eden that way, and then there's other people who are mad at folks who are mad at her because she said she didn't tag Eden, she was just talking about the category in general. But for me, if you drop a name, that's essentially the same as tagging somebody. Like, everybody looks up their name on Twitter because they want to see if they're being talked about. And so when you drop the name, you're essentially doing that. You're tagging them. And so it's like not a surprise to me that Eden saw the tweet. So the second thing is that she didn't make it about the category. She said Eden should be embarrassed, as if Eden was the one is at fault for being in the category. And it's not her fault she's in the category. So what is Eden supposed to do? Just wait until she's either 21 or something and not submit at all and just let, you know, little kids? That's not how that works. It's just this unfair category. And when you're talking about the actress as if she should be the one to be embarrassed, it's no, she shouldn't be embarrassed. The Emmys should be embarrassed at causing all of this drama. And so I feel like she did kind of attack the character, attack the actress, and she named her, and so she was wrong to do that. She should always, like, when you're on Twitter, you always talk in generalities. And if people know, they know. If they don't, then they can look it up themselves. But don't ever name somebody like that. That was just irresponsible.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to the original poster. I don't follow them. I don't know them, but I know Eden's a teenager.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so there's like a lot. I think there's like, as we are talking right now, there's still conversation going on about her and how about Eden and how horrible she is for responding and how she's sicked people on this person, and like that Eden has a terrible fan base and all of that. I can't, like, again, I mean, I have done as much as I can to like separate myself from soap Twitter, just because, I really do enjoy talking about the show. I
Mhm.
enjoy talking about it with you. I enjoy talking about it with like friend, like people who I still am like in communication with from soap Twitter. I think I love um, I've always loved talking about soap operas. I had a friend, I used to watch all the ABC soaps when I was like a social worker. And when I would come to work on Monday, me and one of my friends would just like catch up over coffee because it was like during the time we had SoapNet. And we just like, did you see this? Did you see that? And we both watched all three soaps.
Mhm.
So this has just been like, I love talking about the show, but I do not love talking about it online because um it ends up just being something that it's not. It ends up being that people make value statements and value judgments on who you are based on the character that you like. It's just, that's not for me.
Mhm.
Um, and I feel it's really unfortunate that it has to like that there's all this discourse about what a 19-year-old tweeted. I think that like it's part of what also happened was that well, so she tweeted this, and like Tabiana like, responded and was like, she said what she said. And then like Ryan Pave, who used to play Nathan, like commented, like a bunch of other people commented or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, and then Variety picked it up. So like Soap Press picked it up, and then Variety picked it up. And
Mhm.
Variety called the original poster a troll. Um, yeah, I mean, and so I would say that I think a lot of people have like used names and it hasn't been picked up before. That has been a general rule. Like, please do not tag actors in what I say. And that's before Elon Musk Twitter happened, because there's a For You tab on Twitter that I avoid all the time. Because every time I'm like, why do I see on my regular Twitter? I'm like, why do I see all these people I don't follow? Oh, I see it because you know what I mean? Like, it's
Elon Musk wants me to
yeah.
look at.
And so anyway, I'm just talking in circles at this point. I think it's unfortunate. I think Eden should be proud of her nomination.
Mhm.
I don't have a problem with her like clapping back. She has been talked about over time, like if I was her, I don't even know how she handles being on social. Sometimes it's about her character, sometimes it's personal attacks on her, couched in talking about her character. Nobody's stupid. People know what stuff looks like. Um yeah, people know what stuff looks like. People know what it means for you to like talk about her versus talking about like whatever. Um and yeah, I can see why it might have been shocking for the original poster to like see themselves quoted because they didn't tag, because like I said, that's always been a rule, like don't tag actors. But you know, I
I didn't get this, like I said, she may not have tagged her,
no, I
but
got yeah.
everyone knew who she was talking about. And so she shouldn't have been shocked.
And then it ended up being this whole conversation around like race and like all of this. And so here's what I'll say, because I feel like I'm just like trying to pick words, but it'll be taken how it's taken. So one of the things that's missing from the conversation is like the non-gendering of the category, which I think is really cool, because we know there is like a non-binary actor who's on Yellow Jackets, who was nominated but rescinded because they didn't feel like in the primetime Emmys, because they didn't feel like there was a category for them,
Mhm.
because they're not binary, so they didn't want to submit for actor or actress. And so I think to like I think that like this should be a conversation about, one, what happened to Victoria, right? Like what the hell? Like who did this to her? This was somebody should be like somebody should be aired out for this.
Mhm.
If I knew the rules, if you knew the rules, who the hell on her team or on like who works for Days or who works for the NBC didn't know the rules and did this to her? So that's one thing. There was like this stuff around like, now it's going to be harder for Black actresses to like compete. I really think that people should take a moment to hear what they're saying, because they're
Right.
essentially saying that, because I saw somebody specifically say that like Tabiana and Raven, who's from Days, will have a harder time. And that's essentially saying that Black actresses like can't compete. And I don't think that's what they were trying to say. But like if it felt like they were saying that Black actresses will have a harder time competing for supporting, when that's true for all actresses. Um, so that's another thing. I think that when you think about, so Eden has been nominated against, she was nominated against like Victoria, who played Ciara from Days. Victoria is like a fountain. Like she could cry on cue. She's great. And so Eden has always in the younger category been nominated against older people. There was a category a few years ago back when the actress Kimberly, who plays Robin, was nominated when she was like 9 or 10, and she was up against Anne Heche and won. So,
Right.
like these things can happen. I think about, like I said, Brooklyn Sicer and Nicholas Bechtel. Like the year that Nicholas Bechtel was nominated, it was I think 2016, and that was the year that Brian Craig won.
Mhm.
Like the ages of these categories has always been an issue. um I think that we should talk a lot about gender, and if we want to talk about race, we should actually talk about the opportunities for actresses to leave or to like be on the shows.
Mhm.
I think the way that Ilani from Days was written off, like they're a couple. I think the way they were written off is a bigger race issue than a lot of the other shits that we're talking, a lot of the other things that we're talking about. And so we can't just. I mean, people can do what they want to, but I'm not just going to pull out race about this one thing. I'm going to say it's a whole issue, and so it goes from how people are nominated. It also goes from like the characters that they're able to play that are available to them. Why is there only one Black family on GH? Why
Mhm.
are there no wards when the wards were brought on to be a head family with the Quartermains? Like these are questions that we should be asking, in addition to the other questions about race that people are asking. I saw there was like some conversations about, oh, well, this should all be about Victoria Grace and what happened to her versus like the white woman tears or whatever of Eden. I mean, sure, let's talk about Victoria Grace, who is like to blame for this, because that's the thing. That is the thing to talk about. If we're not talking about who's to blame, then what's the conversation?
Mhm.
And then the final thing I'll say about Eden, and it kind of kind of goes back to what I was saying about Tabiana, which is that when I said before, like I want to talk about Tabiana from a place of strength because she is beloved, and like it is not acceptable to talk poorly about her. So if you do want to talk poorly about Tabiana, you do have to take your coward ass on like a burner account, because you'll get checked all up and down soap Twitter if you say something against her. And that's right. You should be checked if you say something negative about her, something racist about her, something fucked up about her. And so that is not the same thing for Eden. Like there are large accounts who like have really negative things to say about her character, about all of that, and that's totally acceptable within the realm, of the way things are. Like I remember there was a whole like couple weeks on in Soap Opera Digest where it was just like nothing but like coming at her. Like it was like very like weird. This
Mhm.
is not the same. And so I think that for me, obviously like I feel differently about Tabiana just because she's a young black woman. But at the same time, like Eden's 19 and I feel like I've watched her grow up. And so I do feel protective of a 19-year-old too, because I'm so old. Like I'm an elder millennial, okay? Some of my friends just sent their kids to prom. I'm literally old enough where that could be my kid. You know what I mean? And so I feel I just don't feel the need, whether I liked her or don't, to like be commenting on her. Now, granted, this is how I feel now. If back when I was like 22 when I first watched GH, like who knows if I would have liked Joss or what I would be saying. So this is just who I, Tracey, am feeling. And I that's why I just can't participate, because it all feels so negative.
And then I also feel like, and I think I said this before, we got to remember there are people who are making these comments that are probably Eden's age, and so they don't see it the same way as we do. Like they feel like they're talking about someone that's their peer and not like they're picking on someone who's young.
Yeah.
Or but there also could be some old ass women on here, and I'm assuming it's women. It could be a dude who's talking about little kids, and then that I think in effect is almost bullying. And so if you're a grown person talking and just targeting your attacks on a teenager who's on a show, you should be ashamed of yourself, I think.
Boom. Last thing, last thing I want to bring up about the Emmys before we go into sweeps.
Mhm.
William Lipton was nominated for original song.
Oh,
There's an outstanding original song, one from CBS, two from PBS, one from Daystar Networks. But Darling, Darling, the song that he sang at when Trina was exonerated, like for her birthday or whatever it was.
yay! It
uh,
was the best song.
it was so cute, and I'm so happy for him. William is so talented. We just like adore him. Um, yeah, he's so talented. We adore William, and we're so happy for him. Yeah. And like to know that he's like an actor, singer, and he's like a singer songwriter, and he's both been he was nominated for last year, and for his acting, and for this year for his song. Like it's just like I'm so glad that ABC and GH has given him the ability to like be expansive through all of his interest. I'm excited to see if he's nominated. I think that both him and Eden have like really phenomenal work from their breakup, that can be nominated for next year. I'm also interested to see what happens for Tabiana and Nicholas next year with like the work that's happening now. I think the future of GH is so strong with like these characters and these actors. So I'm just like looking forward, and even if the Emmys don't celebrate them every week, we will celebrate these young people every week.
Oh, right. I want to be like, hey, man.
Yeah, good. Okay. So, sweeps, we can go quick. So Soap Opera Digest did like a sweep situation where they talked to Chris and Dan. So like the big things that happen are for May, the race to stop Victor. So it says the Ice Princess story comes to a dramatic conclusion that ties together several of our storylines and most of our characters in a desperate bid to save not just each other, but the entire planet. Um, One of the things that was revealed, Charles Shaughnessy and JPS did a Zoom event together, and it was revealed that Victor is going to be killed. So that makes me sad. I love Charles Shaughnessy. He has been such a delicious villain. And one of my favorite things is how Trina and Spencer are so dramatic, and Victor does not care at all. Like Spencer will be like trying to run after something in the background, and Victor, and like he'll get caught by like a henchman, and Victor will just keep talking like it didn't happen.
I will miss how Victor talks. I love how he uses phrases, old fashioned words, and all this stuff. I'll miss it.
Yeah.
And very proper.
So I'm excited to also see what happens. I think that we're gonna see Anna like hop out of that bed and go save her boo. Um, like I'm excited to see who actually takes Victor down because there are so many people who it could be. Like
Yeah.
obviously, like Vanna has been on his tail the whole time, and so it would be kind of like delicious to see Anna be able to get some retribution for getting shot. I don't really care for Holly, but like, I'm sure the show thinks it would be interesting to see like her take him down for being captive. I'm really hoping that doesn't happen. Um,
I want it to be Laura because she's had it on site from him for the get. And yeah.
so mhm,
And it almost be like closure for when she was kidnapped by the Cassadines. And it'll be interesting to see how if she'll face any consequences for it as being a mayor of the city. Doubt it because he's such an evil person, but you never know.
right. Yep. I think it's gonna be interesting. It is something I'm very much looking forward to.
Mhm.
Michael and Sonny. Michael is soon to be in possession of the very damning evidence against Sonny that can send him away for the rest of his life. This has obviously been part of Michael's plan for close to a year now, but maybe that decision is not as easy as it seems, and Michael will have to make a tough call about what is best for his family. I really hope Michael doesn't do this. I'm tired of it. Michael, you know you're gonna get back with Sonny. Just do it.
I agree. I kind it will make it harder. I guess it'll make more drama for Jax, but I do hope that he changes his mind. Just for his sake, not for Sunny's sake, for his sake.
Agreed. Agreed. And I actually I like seeing his wedding just reminded me how much I miss that family dynamic. I
Mhm.
mean, Morgan, Michael, Christina, and Molly was so special.
Yeah.
Um, and I was sad that we didn't have a moment of reflection about Morgan at the wedding,
Oh yeah.
um, of them coming together, just like the three of them to be like even like a picture with the three of them and then like saying something like it feels wrong that Morgan's not here or something.
Mhm.
But yeah, Nina's revenge. Nina's act of revenge has far reaching consequences when she learns that the authorities are in search of Drew, who in turn is in search of Oberyn, who is the only one with means by which her own daughter Willow may survive her final battle with leukemia. Nina, sis. I also think it's interesting because, like, this is a question I couldn't remember. Does Sunny know that Nina knows stuff?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I feel like he does know that she knows about Drew and Carly because he kept telling her she needs to let it go.
Yeah.
So and then when people were like, "Did you tell anybody?" and he was like, "No, the only person I know who knows is so and so." And so I was like, "That's not true. You know, Nina knows about them."
Yeah, but I don't know if he knows she knows everything. Like she might know that they're together. He might, this is so convoluted. I don't know if he knows she knows, whatever knows. No. But Sunny knows that Nina is aware of Crew.
Right.
But I don't think that he knows that she's aware of the SEC stuff. Because that was something that she like heard from the bartender, and then her and Ava worked out. So I
Yeah.
think that he doesn't know that part.
And she always stopped short of commenting on the SEC stuff.
Yeah.
She would be like Carly and Drew, and then just like,
Mm-hmm.
but the same time, I think he realizes something that she's up to something and doesn't want to admit it to himself.
Mm-hmm.
Like he knows that she's trying to bring them down in some way, but is in denial about the fact that she would actually do it when he's constantly warning her to let it go, let it go, let it go, and he believes that she has let it go, but she hasn't let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And yet when he finds out, he's gonna be like,
Yep.
it's gonna be bad.
There's just no way to spin this. Like I said, this is why I think they're like leaning towards Nina having some sort of breakdown, because Sunny is not gonna be okay with this.
Mm-mm.
And to be quite honest, the thing I think is interesting is that Carly is not gonna be okay with Michael. Like
With
with
what he's gonna
Sunny
do with
down,
that,
Carly's not
with
gonna like
yeah,
that.
they're both gonna be kind of disappointed.
Yeah, Carly's not gonna like that.
Right.
And so even when they talked, it was like the softening. Like I saw like a little softening towards Sunny, where he was like, "How did you get out like that?" And she was like, "It was your father."
Yeah.
Um, it's like you can just see the softening and kind of like the coming back together as a family. I do really wish they would have made Michael's anger more compelling. Because I think that there was compelling stuff for Michael to be angry about. I think that there's just something GH does where you can't be mad at Sunny for too much. Or
It's
they
weird.
won't throw in your face why you should be mad at Sunny. So
Mhm.
there was like the stuff getting Brad out of jail that Michael never found out. That
Right.
was something. Um, I think they should have leaned more on like Mike or like Sunny taking Nina's side in court and
Mhm.
like comforting her after he was berated. And like
Mhm.
having Michael say like that was something I never thought. Like my dad was always somebody who I thought I could deal with for like come to for comfort, and like to see that,
Mhm.
whatever. It just all goes down to like, the fact that men are writing this and the emotional stuff doesn't,
Yeah.
the emotional
I
stuff.
almost feel like if Carly finds out about what Michael is doing, then she may end up talking him down and being disappointed that he would do that, and two, talking him down. Um,
I agree.
yeah.
And I think that that's why they had Ava say, like, these two people have always had each other's back. Like, that felt like a lot of foreshadowing to me.
Because she did that with Joss. She's like, I understand your anger, but doing this to Sunny is not gonna help your sisters. And she's gonna do the same thing with Michael.
So,
Mhm.
yep. The Quartermains, when Drew finds himself an additional target of this SEC. Trouble hits the Quartermain family at large. Ned finds himself with few allies, but chief amongst them is his mother Tracey, who's back in town with an agenda all her own, which requires aid from Brooklyn, who just happens to owe Tracey for Chase's reinstatement at the PCPD. So this is why Soap, I mean, I don't know what Soap Twitter is doing, but Soap Facebook is like, it wasn't Nina who turned him in, it was Tracey. Like, I don't know if you've been seeing that.
No, I
All
haven't seen
over
that.
Facebook. That is like the
Yeah, I was excited though because I love seeing Tracy on the scene, and so I'm glad that she may be here a little bit longer than for this brief stint, and I'm excited to see what she's got going now.
yeah, but people are thinking that it's her who called the SEC on Carly and Drew. I don't think that's true. But we'll see. Cause yeah, we'll see. And then I'm also interested to see what she's up to, what she wants Brooklyn to do for her.
Mhm.
Um, I'm also I think I'm also interested to see um not even interested, annoyed actually to see how Chase is gonna behave once he finds out that Brooklyn did something shady to get his badge back.
Yeah, because he's just always full of self-righteous judgment for Brooklyn. Like, I'm over it. I'm so over it. Like, Brooklyn is not my favorite person, but I am over Chase being judgmental to her. And now that he's finally a cop again, hopefully he'll slow his roll and just be chill.
Ugh,
He got what he wanted, but
yeah. Um, Dex and Jocelyn hope that they will be free from being forced to work and live in Sunny's world, but not everything is as simple as it seems.
yeah, I was like, not likely.
Also, like, I was annoyed by the twist that supposedly Sunny knew. Like, that didn't even make any sense. Even Michael was like, it's clear that he didn't. Like, or that he would have been mad.
Yeah.
Is not gonna be okay with Dex dating Joss. Get the hell out of here. Like, I just do not believe you. Even when Sunny was leaving the police station, he was like, we're all family. Yeah, you're not gonna let your enforcer date your daughter. Like, stop playing with me. I didn't like that twist. Austin and Ava hope that the coast is clear, but Mason pops up with a very dangerous job for them. Interested to see what happens. I like Austin and Ava, but you know what? Can I tell you something?
Like you got a secret.
Roger and Becky still have Kim.
You like took a sip like tea. Like, yes, they do. Um uh,
That that Liz Austin scene was like, I was like, hmm, well, but I do really, really like Ava and Austin.
yeah.
I think
And yeah. And I'm excited to see where that goes. Hopefully they get together. But
same.
yeah, they do
And
need somebody else beside they do need someone for Liz outside of Finn because
here come Austin, deep voice boy head cousin. Mm. Sasha, this is the last one. With all hands on deck at Deception, Sasha needs to return to the set of her initial mental episode. Will she be able to triumph over adversity this time? Why do they be doing Sasha like this?
oh, and I feel bad actually. Why the actress didn't get nominated? Oh my gosh.
I, that is like, we didn't talk, and maybe another time we can talk about stuff. That for me was one of the biggest snubs.
Oh my god.
I also thought, I mean, like, there is only so much room, and I think that that is why it's so hard, with these like age changes to the actresses,
Yeah.
because that the supporting is stacked. I mean, you think about it. I think that Sasha was snubbed. I think that Amanda as BLQ was snubbed. I think a lot of her stuff with Bailey was really powerful.
Mhm.
Um, I think Kristen was a good contender as well. I don't know if these people have submitted, but I do think that we're going to see a little bit more tactical submissions in the
Yeah.
by show, who are like, okay, we want this person to be able to be considered, like, you hold back or whatever it is, because especially with GH, I mean, our actresses bring it.
Yeah. I
No,
heard that
we don't have any duds.
yeah,
You
I
know,
heard that Mara West said she didn't submit this year. I mean, she had some great scenes too, but
she
she chose not to submit. Yeah,
and neither did Laura Wright.
right. So,
They said Cynthia did.
mhm.
I'm interested to see what happens this year. I feel like if they give her a breakdown this year, then she'll be like, because she plays that, like, the emotions, like, even like I was saying,
Right.
even if you track her emotions across a scene, you're like, damn girl, what just happened here?
Yeah.
So I think if they let her have a breakdown, like, she pretty much is a shoe-in for lead. That's my opinion. Especially because she's also a name. Like, you know what I mean? Like, part of this is also, who do people know?
Mhm.
So people know Maura West, people know Laura Wright, people know Cynthia Watros. If they submit, this is something that Eden said in her interview with Michael Fairman that I
Mhm.
keep referencing. that she was like, if they, if they submit, then like they have a really great chance of being nominated, and it sometimes like knocks off other people who should also be considered.
Mhm.
And I appreciated her saying that because I think that's right. That's why I said like I really hope that we see submissions from Tabiana and from Eden and from not Cameron, but for William and Nicholas all next year for in their supporting categories.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what we got for the. Do you have anything else before we get into what's happening next week?
Oh, I feel like everything that you wrote was gonna happen next week. Everything you were talking about before. I was like, oh,
I read that. I didn't write that. That was all directly from Soap Opera Digest.
I know, but I feel like what they wrote for May should happen next week.
Yeah. For real, for real. Okay, May 1st, Monday. Nina meets with Martin. Victor grows suspicious.
Mhm.
And that's because we saw like in the cliffhanger that like Victor is catching up to the gang who is in Greenland. Oprah takes a stand. Holly takes a drastic measure. Anna is determined.
Get out of bed. Go.
Right. She's going to save Bay. Tuesday. I love me a damsel in distress known as Valentine Cassidy. Tuesday. Valentine makes an offer. Marshall consoles Portia. Robert runs interference. Joss and Dex are hopeful. Willow is in for a shock. Wednesday. Michael is frantic. Felicia delivers bad news.
Mhm.
Tracey and Brooklyn band together. Nina briefs Ava. Laura makes a bold move. Thursday. May the 4th be with you. Spencer and Trina are alarmed. Carly supports Michael. Willow has a choice to make.
Mhm.
Goes to bat for a loved one. Nina tries to distract Sunny.
It's gonna come out. And I think Willow's gonna get sick again and end up in the hospital.
Let's see.
Mhm.
Friday. Elizabeth and Portia are puzzled. Willow issues a request. Nina makes a promise. Victor is caught off guard. Laura is horrified.
Horrified that she just murdered a man? No, don't be horrified. I
I'm
don't
not
know.
thinking just shot a man down, but I'm not trying to get flagged at the end of a long
Right.
episode. Um, and yeah, that's the week. It's interesting. Depending on what happens, like a lot of these highlights have me a little interested in next week. We'll see how swept up we get in the first week of May.
All right, I'll get my Swiffer duster ready.
Well, again, thank y'all for joining us. Join us on Tuesday for our Trina Tuesday, where we uplift Trina and Tabiana. Make sure that you listen to her Soap Opera Digest interview. It's a podcast. If you're in the Northern California area, hit us up. Go to Vanna Live. We're going to be there. Sandra, who just got cast for another play, so congratulations, Sandra, is actually at rehearsal right now. We'll also be there. We'll be taking the day off of play rehearsals to come to do Vanna Live. So it should be a good time. If you're in Northern California, hit us up. You should come, and we should have fun.
May the 4th be with you.
Of course, be with you. Yeah.